Okay, we're starting. Let's see if anyone joins us. Hanukkah. It was fun playing music on Hanukkah. You can't figure out where to stop it. That's a Shlomo Nigun. Beautiful Nigun. So many beautiful Shlomo Nigunim. So Shalom Aleichem to Zahava and whoever else is joining us. Of course, my mother and Aryeh, who's here in person. And to me, who's on the screen. Shalom Aleichem to me. And that's it. Hanukkah is over. There were some years, literally, I did not clean the Chanukiah until the year after. It's amazing. I just didn't have the strength to clean the Chanukiah, and then the next year would come, and as each night would come, I would clean parts of the glass for the Chanukiah. That was really bad. This year I cleaned it all this week. Baruch Hashem. So, Rachel Ravitch, Shalom Aleichem. And I know Katie wants to join. I couldn't figure out how to send her a link because she's not on Facebook. I got to figure that out. Bezat Hashem. Okay, so we're starting. Oh, she made it. Look at that. She made it. There's Katie. Okay, so lots of brachas to everybody. We're going to start Torah Hey. And why Torah Hey? Because we were on Aleph. I had a big train ride last week and I was looking at Bet, and while it was very interesting, it seemed like way out there. And then I'm looking yesterday through the bridge version of Likutey Moharan, and I see, Torah, hey, it starts off with this quote, Ki tzarich kol adam lomar, kol ha'olam lo nivra ela bishvili. Every person has to say that the whole world was created for me. And I thought, oh yeah, that's one of those famous phrases that Rebbe Nachman says, so we're going to learn the Torah, we got the Hotel Or, and we got all these footnotes, so we're set, we have nothing to worry about. And as I'm plowing through it, I'm like, oh boy, it's getting really, really, really deep, really fast. So we'll see, you never know, as we start learning, maybe things will become clearer, maybe we'll summarize a few sections to make it a little faster. We'll see. So Torah Hey, number 5, and it says Lashon Rabbeinu Zichron Levracha. So there's a whole debate in the Likutey Moharan here in the footnotes. What does it mean, Lashon Rabbeinu, which literally means that this Rebbe Nachman gave over word for word. So even with Lashon Rabbeinu, amongst the Breslov commentators, there's a debate whether he literally gave it over word for word. But it's more reliable than the other lessons. The other lessons were either Rebbe Nachman listening to the lesson and summarizing it, and Rebbe Nachman editing it, or Rebbe Nachman hearing it from Hasidim, and then Rebbe Nachman editing it. Rebbe Nachman was involved in editing all the lessons, but this was supposedly word for word from Rebbe Nachman. This was given on Rosh Hashanah, and it talks about, so it starts off, Rabbeinu Zal Podech Pasuk, Rebbe Nachman opens with the verse, and of course we know from learning so many of these lessons that the verse is the basis for the whole lesson, and as we're going through it, it's not really clear, but when we get to the end, he brings it all together. V'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar hariu lefnei hamelech Hashem. We say this on Friday night. V'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar hariu lefnei hamelech Hashem. So these are the trumpets that were blown in the Beit HaMikdash, and the sounding of the shofar will cry out before Hashem. B'Sefer Torah, Yiva'er et pasuk b'pnimiyut. And by the time we reach the end of the Torah, we're going to understand this on a deeper, much deeper level. That much I can tell you. Ki tzarich kol ha'adam lomar u'lahamin. So the u'lahamin is the Oter Or, but the Oter Or is always quoting Rebbe Nachman. So all of these additions here are Rebbe Nachman's additions brought in by the Oter Or. Except for very small clarifications that he brings on his own. Ki tzarich kol adam lomar u'la'amin. Every person has to say and also believe. Kol ha'olam lo nivra ela bishvili. So here it says it in the negative. The whole world was not created except for me. But we would say in the positive, the world was created for me. And everybody knows that Reb Zusha would have two notes, one in each pocket, one on the left and one on the right. One would say, the whole world was created for me. And the other would say, I'm nothing but dust and ashes. So when he needed a little boost of confidence, he would take out the note that says, Kol ha'olam lo nivra ela bishvili, the whole world was created for me. And when he was feeling a little haughty, egotistical, he would take out the other note that would say, remember that you're just dust and ashes. When we say, Kol ha'olam lo nivra ela bishvili, that the whole world is created for me, it also means it was created for me, and it was created for Aryeh, and it was created for Zahava, and it was created for everybody. So it doesn't mean like the world is mine and it belongs to me. It means that everybody has their particular role in the world, and for each person it was created for them. Perush, the meaning is, tzarich kol ha'adam la'argish kamo shehu nivra yichidi ba'olam. Every person has to feel like they were the only one created in the whole world. V'chein hu be'emet, and so it's really true. Ki lechol adam yesh lo tafkid miuchad betikun ha'olam. Every person has a special role in fixing the world. Now, tikkun ha'olam, we say fixing the world, but it really means putting the world in order by you doing your role. So imagine each person is a piece of a puzzle. If your piece doesn't fit, then the puzzle can't be completed. So you have to make yourself into the shape that it'll fit the puzzle to complete the picture of Hashem creating the world. And every person has their unique role. And that's how you can say that the whole world was created just for me. And also, just from a logical point of view, in order for me to be sitting here right now, the whole world had to be created in order for me to be here at this moment. Everything. All of the people that came before me had to get married or have relations and have children, till I was born, and the state of Israel had to exist, and this house had to exist, and this table had to exist, all so that I could sit here and teach this Torah right now. All of creation brought this point about. So the person can understand that really the whole world was created for them, but also for you, and also for you, and also for everyone else. She'ein la'af adam milvad rak hu yachol la'asot oto. That nobody else can do the role in the world that you're going to do. And people can get confused with this. You could think, well, maybe being, I remember when I was younger, my mother wanted to encourage me. And she said, you could be a great person when you get older. You could be the head of the United Nations. And at the time I thought, wow, the United Nations, it's a very impressive place. Now that wouldn't be a compliment to say to be the head of the United Nations. But it was a nice thing that she said to encourage me. And so somebody could say, look, I'm not the head of the United Nations. I'm not a famous doctor, singer, rabbi, dentist, whatever. I'm just a simple person. So how can I say that I'm filling such a special role? But that's really not significant, because we know that when we get to the world to come, they're not going to ask us, were we the head of the United Nations? They're going to say, were you living up to your potential in the soul and the body and the time and place that Hashem put you? And you want to be able to answer, yes, I lived up to my fullest potential with everything I could. That's something that I personally am working on all the time, always trying to take advantage of time, take advantage of my skills and opportunities with a real awareness of Olam Haba. I'm not obsessed with the world to come in the sense that I'm not present in this world, but I'm very conscious that one day I will have to answer to Hashem, what did I do in my time in this world? And I want to be able to say, I literally squeezed every second out of every day. I did all I could. Depends on my energy levels, so I'm always working on that as well, in order to do as much as you can. So that's the meaning, that everybody has a particular role, and a special role that only they can do in this world. Kol ha'olam nivra rak bishvilo. And so, as a result, the whole world is created just for that person, kedei sheyetaken et ma shetzarich letaken ba'olam. In order for the person to fix what the person needs to fix in the world. And you fix it by being yourself. And you fix it by doing it within the framework of Torah and mitzvot, Be'ezrat Hashem. ולכן אינו יכול לומר שהאחרים יעסקו בעבודת השם בתורה ומצוות. And so a person is not allowed to say, other people should do Torah and mitzvot, other people should work in the service of Hashem, ויחזירו את ישראל בתשובה, and those people will help the Jewish people to return to do tshuva. So the bottom line being that just like with this war, if everybody said, I'm getting on a plane and leaving, there would be no country. There are people that are saying, I have a job to do, I'm going and I'm doing it. And there are people on every level that are doing this, whether it's cooking food or volunteering or whatever it is that people are doing. And everybody is stepping up in their own way in order to do something to help the state of Israel and the Jewish people at this time. And he says the same thing in order to help the Jewish people do tshuva, meaning to be who we're supposed to be. But Likutey Halachot, it says, Katav v'zeh lashon, this is what it says, Be'emet, kol echad miYisrael yesh lo koach lachzir kol ha'olam b'tshuva. Every one of the Jewish people has within themselves the power to bring the whole world to do tshuva. Ki chayav kol ha'adam lamar, because every person has to say, Bishveli nivra ha'olam. That's from Sanhedrin Lamed Zayin. The whole world is created for me. Ki kol achad miYisrael hu kalul mikol ha'torah kula. Because every one of the Jewish people is included in the entire Torah. Kamo shekatuv, zot ha'torah adam. That the Torah is man, is human beings. Ki chol echad miYisrael kalul me ramach averim ve'shesa gidim shehem merach mitzvot ve'shesa mitzvot. That every person is made up of 240 limbs and 365 sinews. I mean, this is just a way of saying that everybody has within themselves different character traits and different attributes in order to do the different types of mitzvot. We have the positive mitzvot and the negative mitzvot, the lo taseh mitzvot, shehu klam kol haTorah kula. That's the whole Torah. V'haTorah klula mishishim libui nafshot Yisrael. The Torah includes 600,000 letters, which includes the 600,000 root souls of the Jewish people. Kayadua, as it's known, Nimtza Shekol Acham Yisrael, Kalul Mikol Yisrael, that all of the Jewish people are included within each other. We're all connected to the Torah. So that's what he's trying to say, that everybody has within themselves this Jewish neshama that has the power to bring people to do tshuva. And through all of human history, since, I guess not human history, but since the Jews existed, the Jews have had a bigger impact on the world than their size. And just in modern times, we think about Google and Facebook and I don't even know what else. All of these companies that have this big impact on the world, many of them were founded by Jews, or Jews are involved in them, because a Jew has this power to bring the world to do tshuva. And if these people were connected to Torah and mitzvot, they would probably be using that same energy to help people reconnect with Judaism and to help the world to follow a moral life according to the Torah. But since they don't, they end up putting into high-tech fortunes. Nimtzak she'olam nivra b'shvili, so it follows that if the world was created for me, alai lizaher livroach me'averot u'mimidot ra'ot, then I have to be careful to run away from doing transgressions and from having bad traits. Kedei she'lo ligrom kimkul li v'lechol ha'olam, not so that I don't mess myself up and to mess up the whole world. Ki tzarich ani levot u'la'anyen b'chol et b'tikun olam. I have to be completely involved all the time in trying to figure out, how do I do tikkun olam? So tikkun olam in the Reform movement has become acts of kindness for anyone. But tikkun olam in the religious world, in the Hasidic world, it means that you have a particular role to do, and you're making sure that you do it. That's all you have to do. In order to do tikkun olam, if it leads to you building farms in Africa, then that's great. But for most people, we're not going to be building farms in Africa, and we're not going to be volunteering in soup kitchens. We have to be working on ourselves, and through fixing ourselves, we'll fix the world. מה שהם החסרונות והפגמים שבעולם ואנשיו, what's lacking and what's damaged in the world and its people, כיצד ניתן לתקנם, how do we fix those things, ולמלא חסרון העולם, and to fix what's lacking in the world, כשאני יודע מה החסרונות, when I know what's lacking, עליי למלאותם ולתקנם. It's my obligation to fill them and to fix them. So now this does mean, see, this is where things get confusing, because this has been taken by at least the Reform movement in a direction where it's become its own religion. I don't remember which rabbi it was. There was some rabbi who was nominated to be the head of the Reform movement instead of Rick Jacobs, who's been the head for something like 10 years now. And this rabbi turned down the role, and he also left his congregation and decided to move to Mexico or someplace like that and start a soup kitchen. And he said, this is the ultimate of Judaism. This is what Judaism is really about. I don't want to be the head of the Reform movement. I want to move to Mexico and start a soup kitchen. And I remember reading the article, and I said to myself, it's a beautiful thing that the person wants to do this, but that's not what Judaism is. When he says here that there are things lacking in the world and you have to fix them, you start, first of all, with yourself. What's lacking within yourself, and what can you fix within yourself? And then you look around your immediate area and you say, what needs to be fixed? What can I make a difference? How do my unique talents contribute to fixing the world around me, right around me? Because you might get to Mexico, but most people won't. Most people will stay in their home, in their neighborhood, in their life, and that's the job that you need to do. Through doing that, you fix the world. It's actually the opposite. When a person goes to Mexico and starts a soup kitchen, they're so worried about the soup kitchen, they don't have time to work on themselves. and they're not able to work on their community because they left their community. And it's actually a convoluted way of understanding Tikkun Olam. So Tikkun Olam is first working on yourself, seeing what's lacking in yourself, and second, seeing how you can contribute uniquely to your community, to where you are. If you see something is missing, like you know there's a family that doesn't have food. So you ask around and collect some money and go buy them some food. And that was your job, to bring them the food. One of the problems that I solve is leading minions. So many times where I go, nobody wants to lead the minyan, I lead the minyan, or some places I lead the minyan and just people come because they like the davening. That's one of the things that I'm supposed to be doing. Achnasat Ochim, having guests on Shabbos. This is Tikkun Olam. This is the Tikkun Olam that he's talking about. And it's not that I'm the only person that can do these things. There are other people that can do these things. But I looked and I said, this is lacking, and this is something that I want to contribute to, and this is something I want to do. And because I have the desire to fix it, that's my tikkun. If it wasn't something that I wanted to do, it wouldn't even occur to me. Like, I never imagined to be a dentist. It was never on my list of things ever to be a dentist, but there's lots of dentists. Because those people wanted to do that. So everybody has their role. And everybody, from what they look around and see is missing, that's what they have to work on, specifically within their own world. Ki melvad shetzarich lemalot et chesron haolam ulachziram b'tshuva. Because it's not just that I have to look around the world and see what's lacking and to try to get people to do tshuva. Tshuva meaning to return to themselves, to return to how they're supposed to be. We want the Kohanim and the Levim in the Beit HaMikdash to return to their service, for example. That's a sense of tshuva. There's personal tshuva, there's collective tshuva, there's global tshuva. Alai gam litpalel avoram kshechatu v'nigzar aleihem onesh chas v'shalom. So I also am obligated to daven for people that transgressed, and as a result of their transgression, a punishment was decreed upon them, God forbid. Ule'orer alehem rachamim, and to arouse in heaven compassion for them. So he says, it's not just enough for you to be working on yourself and seeing what's lacking in the world, you also have to be davening for other people to do tshuva. And now he's going to get very deep into this. V'inyan hatfila, regarding the matter of davening, hametakenet et haolam, the type of davening that fixes the world. Kshemashlimah et chesronatav u'mevateret et gzeira. This type of davening can fill the things that are lacking in the world and can nullify heavenly decrees. Heim b'shnei panim comes in two different ways. B'shnei ofanim, two types. Hainu ki kodem gzar din, before the judgment is given in heaven, ksheyesh kitrug haolam, when there is a judgment on the world, ach adayin lo nigzar din ra, behechal zchut, but there still hasn't been a judgment upon the world. Mitpalalim keseder atfila, person davens in the order of davening, umefaotim umazkirim et gzeira beferush, and the person mentions the judgment specifically. This is before the judgment was given. So it seems like bird flu is going to come on the world. I remember when people were talking about bird flu and it's going to wipe everybody out. In the end, it became corona corona is also a type of bird flu that was going to wipe everybody out. And I remember years ago, the Israeli government culling, that's the word, culling animals, culling chickens. It means that they're burning them. They're killing them and burning them. But it's a nice word to cull the chicken, unless you're a chicken, and it's not such a nice word. So they were like really killing millions of chickens because there was the disease, and this is maybe like 10 years ago. When they were worried, and I was thinking, wow, my kids eat eggs all the time, and we're all going to die of this bird flu. And I remember one Rosh Hashanah davening to Hashem, please, Hashem, don't let this bird flu come and kill us all. So that's what he's saying. You have a gezeira, and there's before the gezeira, and you can mention it specifically. ומבקשים לבטלה בטענות, פיוסים ורצויים. And you can ask to nullify it through logical requests, through trying to appease Hashem and make Hashem happy. ואין צריך להלביש התפילה במאמר וסיפור. You don't have to hide what you're asking for in a story or in some other way of saying it. באופן שאינם מבקשים בפירוש על ביטול הגזירה, in a way where you're not asking specifically to nullify this decree. אלא רק ברמז נעלם, but just in a hidden way. So he's saying, before the judgment is given, you can mention it directly. So now you can take this for your life specifically. Let's say a person, a person is worried about getting a lien on their bank account because they have a debt. So there's no lien just yet. You can say to Hashem, help me to have the money so that I don't get a lien on my bank account. But after the lien is on the bank account, you have to mention it in a roundabout way in a story. And he's going to explain, because there are they're called destroying angels that are there, and they're given permission to block your prayers from reaching heaven after the judgment in heaven has been given. And so you have to say it in a roundabout way. I'm not exactly sure how you do that. I didn't see an example. But I guess you would have to say, there once was a person who had a lien on his bank account, and boy, that guy, he really suffered from it. And I wouldn't know anybody that would have something like that, chas v'shalom. But if there was somebody in the world, Hashem, you should probably have compassion on that person. It's probably not exactly what Rebbe Nachman had in mind, but a roundabout way of mentioning it. So we have first, before the judgment is given, and then after. But after the judgment was given, that the negative judgment was given, God forbid, you have to enclose what you're asking for Hashem in some type of roundabout way or a story. שאין משמעותם התפילה ובקשה על הגזירה הזאת בפירוש. That you don't mention specifically in your davening, your request from Hashem, this one thing specifically. And I'm telling you, it's very hard to do. If something bad, God forbid, happens to you, that's all you want to talk about. You want to say, Hashem, help me, Hashem, help me, Hashem, help me. What do we see going upstairs? A base? People. Okay. So he says you have to find a roundabout way of saying it. I guess, I'm thinking about the Alter Rebbe. When he says you have to have compassion on your soul. Because your soul was in this pristine place in heaven, was brought down to earth and put into this body. How do you have compassion on your soul when your soul is basically you? And he says, think about, God forbid, a young child that walks into shul and says Kaddish for his parents. And I actually saw this, Rav Cheshen's, this is his second marriage, and his wife's daughter, after having 10 children, died in childbirth. And I remember seeing her grandchildren coming into shul. They were little red-headed Haredi kids. It was like a whole group of them, and they're all saying Kaddish. It was like, wow, it's so painful to see. I was grateful when the year was over. They're all married now. All 10 of them are married. It's pretty amazing. And as Rav Cheshen says, to good people, and good homes, and good Haredis, every day, Baruch Hashem. But do you think about having compassion on your soul? So you think of a story that creates an emotional reaction that is a type of way, a roundabout way of having compassion in your soul. So in a roundabout way, you have to ask Hashem for whatever this judgment is to remove it. כדי שלא יבינו המלאכים המקטרגים העומדים לשמאל. So that the angels that are prosecuting and they're standing on the left, they won't understand what you're saying. Shehem mitzad hagvura v'midat hadin. The left is from the side of strictness and judgment. Et diburei hatfilah, your words of prayer. V'lo yikateregu, and then they won't prosecute v'yimnu'u et tfilah militkaber. Your davening, they won't prevent your davening from being accepted in heaven. So after the judgment in heaven is given, he's gonna give an answer. I'll give it to you now because we won't get to it till later. How do you know if the judgment was accepted in heaven or not? And he says the way that you know is, are you doing a mitzvah with joy, or are you forcing yourself to do the mitzvah? If you're doing a mitzvah with joy, it was before the judgment was given. And if you're doing a mitzvah and it's heavy, that's after the judgment was given. Interesting, right? You know, there's some mitzvot that it's really hard to do, some mitzvot that you're excited to do, and sometimes it depends on the day. כי לאחר גזר הדין יש להם רשות לעשות מסך נגד התפילות שלא יעלו. So the prosecuting angels had permission after the judgment has been given to make a division, to make a wall between your davening going up to heaven. כדי שלא יבטלו גזר הדין, so that your davening won't nullify the judgment. כמו שכתוב, as is written, בחלום Nebuchadnezzar's dream, בגזירה רעה שנגזר עליו. What was the terrible decree that was decreed upon him in Daniel? Let's see if he says it here. Gzeirat Irin Pit Gamin. So I looked that up because I didn't know what it meant. The decree of the destroying angels. Hainu le'achar gzar hadin. Now what does it say here? 18 says destroying angels. I don't know what the thing was that Nebuchadnezzar was decreed that in Sefer Daniel. I should have looked it up. Okay, Hainu, that is after the judgment. Shekvar nigzar hadin lera'a. So the judgment was already given in heaven, and it's already been distributed. All of the angels got an email and a WhatsApp message about the judgment. And so the way you fix this is b'ma'amar kadishin she'eltin ki azaya tzadikim malbishim she'elatam u'bakashatam b'ma'amar. So you have to, I guess you have to go to the tzaddikim and ask them to daven for you, because the tzaddikim are able to enclose in their questions and their requests to Hashem, ve'inam sho'alim v'mevakshim v'ferush b'tfilatam al bitul hagzera. This is interesting, because I tell a lot of stories. So it says that they don't ask or request specifically in their davening for nullifying the judgment. So first we have here the idea of tzaddikim that are davening in general. They're probably saying in general, Hashem, help the Jewish people. And they're not saying something specific about your gzar din, about your judgment. But also there's stories, I have 2 stories coming out tomorrow on the podcast, about tzaddikim that, one story about the Chafetz Chaim, he tells a guy to keep Shabbos. And then many years later, he finds out, many years later, he finds out why the Chafetz Chaim, you'll have to listen to the podcast to hear the answer. Why? I don't want to give it away because there's people that listen to the lesson and listen to the story. I don't want to give away the story. But he did have this vision. And so, in a sense, the Chafetz Chaim was able to see where this person was going to end up and how to nullify the judgment against them, but without saying it specifically for the person. Here, after the class, I'll tell you, I'll give you the short story. It's only in their thoughts that the tzaddikim think about al bitul hagzera, about nullifying the judgment, but they don't mention it Beferush in their words. They don't specifically say it. So that's one of the things that you could do. Apparently, you can think about it, but you can't say the words straight out. Because after judgment is given, yesh malachei asmol. Well, if somebody was political, they would say, what, you're telling us that we're the bad side? You have the left-wing angels, Hamid Katregim, that are prosecuting Reshut Lachsom et Tfilot, and they have permission to block a person's davening. V'lachen HaTzadikim omrim eze ma'amar shel Torah, and so the tzaddikim say some words of Torah, or eze sipur ma'aseh, or some Hasidic story, שהתפילה מלובשת בו בחוכמה נפלאה. That within that saying or the story or the lesson is a wondrous way of hiding the prayer. באופן שהמלאכים הנ"ל, in the way that the angels above אינם יכולים להבין, are not able to understand. וישנה כאן תפילה לביטול הגזירה, and within whatever that tzaddik is saying, there is a request from Hashem to cancel the judgment. ואינם חוסמים את התפילה המלובשת הזו מלעלות. They don't prevent the person's prayer that's enclosed in a word of Torah or in a story to go up. ורק הקדוש ברוך הוא מבין שיש כאן, and only Hashem understands that there's here, tefillah nisteret, a hidden, umelubeshet, a hidden and enclosed prayer, umekabel ota berachamim, and Hashem accepts it with compassion. Okay, we're going to stop there. Where's my bookmark? Left it on Aleph. Let's see. Okay, I have to put a new one. Okay. Right? Where is it? Nope, I don't have it here. Okay, I'm just going to read to you the intro to the next section. לאחר שבאר שצריך כל אדם להרגיש שבשבילו נברא העולם, after he explained that every person has to feel, and he said, and to believe that the world was created for them, וצריך להתפלל על תיקון העולם, we have to daven for fixing the world, ולהצילו מגזרות רעות, and to save the person from bad judgments, ושיש חילוק באופן התפילה, and there's a division in the type of davening, בין קודם גזר דין, before the judgment, לאחר גזר דין, and after the judgment, now he's going to explain כיצד יכול האדם לדעת אם הוא קודם גזר דין ולאחר גזר דין. How can a person know if they're before the judgment or after the judgment? Okay, you have any questions? You know, we were learning in Torah Aleph, how does Hashem receive a person's chen? Through learning Torah b'koach, through forcing yourself to learn Torah. And that actually really helped me, because there are many times when I'm learning in the morning, we go sometimes for like 45 minutes, an hour, and the Chesed is all excited, and I'm like you, I'm falling asleep. And I'm telling myself, but I'm learning b'koach. I'm forcing myself to try to stay awake and try to understand, and that's part of the chen that I'm going to send up to Hashem with my davening. So, shakoch. Okay, there was a couple that came to the din of a Rebbe. The din of I think it was the Bnei Yisachar, or the son of. And they said, we've been married for 20 years, we don't have any children. Chas v'shalom, everybody that needs children, and I have a whole list of people that I daven for that need children. Bezat Hashem, Hashem should give them healthy children, and happy children will be connected to Torah and mitzvot, and it should happen very quickly right now, Bezat Hashem. So, this couple comes to the din of a Rebbe. They say, we haven't had children in 20 years, and we want a bracha. And he says, you came to the wrong Rebbe. You have to go to my student, Rebbe Feibish of, what was it called? Tosh. The Tosha Rebbe. He said, you go to him and invite him for a meal for Shabbos, and then Bezat Hashem you'll have children. So they go to Rebbe Feibish and they say, Rebbe, we want to invite you for Shabbos lunch. And he says, sure, I'd love to come. And he comes on Shabbos day, and the couple brings him in, and they show him his place at the table, but he doesn't sit at the table. He starts walking around the house. He's walking around, he's looking, he's picking things up, he's looking around. And the couple says, Rebbe, what are you doing? He said, I don't understand. How long have you two been married? They said, 20 years. He said, well, where are your children? Why don't I see any children? I don't see any toys. I don't see any children's clothes. I don't see any beds for kids. What's going on? They said, well, Rebbe, that's why we invited you, because we went to the dinner of the Rebbe, and we asked for a bracha, and he said, come to you, and that you would give us a bracha. He said, I can't eat here. I can't eat in a home that doesn't have children. I made a promise to Hashem that I only eat in homes that have children. And the couple was really down and depressed. And they're like, Rebbe, we want children, we just don't have children. And they said, well, at least, Rebbe, you can eat the meal with us. You said you would eat the meal with us. He said, you're right, I promised you that I would eat the meal with you. So next year I'll come and eat the meal with you. And Be'ezrat Hashem, you'll have children. And sure enough, by the next year they had a child. And the Rebbe was able to say, Hashem, I made a promise that I only eat in the homes of parents that have children, and now that this couple has a child, I can eat in their home. And that's so, I wonder, what? Maybe that's what we're learning tonight. That's how, it's really amazing, right? Because I had no idea. I'm telling you, I have piles and piles of stories. What story am I going to tell? I have 5 minutes till I'm leaving my office. I open this book, and I'm like, oh, that's a good story, I haven't told it. And that's exactly the lesson that we learned tonight. That's how the tzaddik hides his prayer for something that the Gzar Din, the judgment, was already given. He hides it in a story. And here Hashem, obviously Hashem exists, and He loves me and takes care of me because He gave me a lesson and a story without me even realizing it. And Aryeh, all the brachas was at Hashem. I hope you meet your kala on the way out tonight, was at Hashem.